Hey there, Orlando Batista here with Breath Factory, and just want to take a moment, first of all, thank everybody again who's supporting us and getting us off the ground. Cynthia's not here again today, but she's busy doing some things in the background to help get Breath Factory off the ground, videos and other things. The reason why I'm doing this video today is I'm not going to get into any asana or any postures or breath or anything, but just sort of tell a little story and maybe see if this is something that you can relate to. I know that when I first started practicing yoga, I was a pretty buffy guy. I was working out at a gym, and a lot of my mentality, a lot of my thoughts about yoga were that first of all it was hard and you know, it was an intense practice, and it was all physical. It was all very physical orientation, the thoughts that I had in my mind about what was going to happen when I came to yoga. So the first time I did a yoga class, I remember trying really hard to get into the postures. And I'm sure that the teachers in the class were actually talking about breath. At least I think they were, or I hope they were anyway. But it wasn't registering for me at the time. For years, actually, in my practice, I thought it was all about trying to get into the posture. And it wasn't really, I don't really remember a whole lot of talk about alignment and being safe in the posture. That came many years later, actually. And now, as a result of all of this pushing and trying to force myself into postures, I had a couple of knee surgeries and many injuries, shoulder injuries, wrist issues, you know, etc., etc. And it took years, literally years, and a couple of great teachers to really start to see that yoga is a whole lot more than just postures, than just asana, and that it's a lot more to do with breath and finding the connection between a posture and your breath, and particularly so that over time, that same connection that we have with breath and posture, we start to be able to take that connection, that relationship from our mat back into our daily life. So the same stressful situation that we have on our yoga mat, we start to be able to handle the stress the same in our outer life and in our life off the mat. There's an expression that how we are some of the time is how we are all of the time. So if you're very stressed out on your yoga mat and you're upset with yourself and you're not trying to get, you're not getting enough out of the pose, that same kind of mentality will spill over into our life. That's just how we are in our life. We're just not getting enough out of life. We're not getting enough out of people. We're not getting enough out of situations. And we're very greedy and very selfish. No, selfish isn't the right word. Greedy is probably the best word. But our yoga mat is the last place that we want to be greedy on. We can only take so much from the pose. The pose is only willing to offer us so much physically. But there's so much more that the pose is willing to offer us from a spiritual, from a breath standpoint, from a place of trying to find ease and steadiness in the pose, a place where we can find a little bit more honesty, a little bit more humility in the pose. And I believe that those characteristics come when we start to connect our practice to our breath, not so much to the posture. The posture, it's important that we come to class, it's important that we take workshops and learn about the structure, the proper alignment and posture so that our bodies are safe. But it only takes a moment inside of each posture to find that correct alignment, to find that place inside of the posture where your body is safe. The rest of the posture becomes about breath, becomes about finding that ease and steadiness of breath inside the posture. And I also believe that when we start to connect and marry the breath and posture, we start to lose the connection to both of those things. And once we lose the connection to both of those things, then that's when our relationship or our connection to God, whatever you want to call it, starts, or to our higher power, our higher awareness. So that when we find that stillness, that ease, that we're able to connect to our proper thinking, the thinking that comes without fear, that comes without anxiousness, so that when we are off of our mats, we're actually not just when we're off of our mats, but when we're on our mats, we're making proper decisions on what's appropriate for the posture, how far I should go into the posture, right? This is hurting, maybe I should back up, you know? I can't breathe here, I'm getting anxious, maybe I should back up, right? If we're able to start to hear those subtle voices talking to us, guiding us through our practice, then we'll slowly start to be able to hear those subtle voices, those higher inspirational thoughts in our life start to guide us. And I really, 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 truly believe over the years I've come to see that this is what our practice is about. This is what yoga is all about. It's great. The byproduct is, you know, we get fitter, we get stronger, we get more flexible, we get greater butts and greater arms and all that kind of stuff. Some really cool things come as a result of our yoga practice. They're great byproducts, but there is nothing sweeter than being able to live your life from a place of grace, from a place of ease and steadiness, so that you're no longer reacting to life, we start to respond to life. And I believe that the more you practice on your mat, then the more that starts to spill over into your life. Now, that being said, someone in a wheelchair can still do yoga. You don't have to actually do posture in order to do yoga. You can sit still in a chair and breathe consciously. You can even move an arm up and down, just like this, therapeutically, and still be doing yoga. Right? So there's many facets, there are many aspects to this practice, but the one that I do believe is the most important is breath. And obviously, if you're not breathing, you're not living. Just to touch on that a little bit more, and then I'll wrap this up. Our breath, they say, we actually have this fantasy about that our mind actually creates runs our life. And on some level that's true. When we're anxious and we're fearful and our brain starts to take control, or our mind starts to take control, and we've got this monkey mind and it's just rattling off thoughts, right? Our thoughts do start to affect our physiology. They start to affect everything in our bodies, our cells, the way everything operates. Big deal there. But if we can turn that around on itself and we start to make it more about our breath, that eventually we start to slow down that monkey mind. And when we start to live outside or inside of that inspirational thinking, that inspirational life, that also starts to affect our cells. That also starts to affect our physiology, our DNA. And we start to live and be the way that we were meant to be, the person that we were meant to be. And that doesn't happen quickly, but it's certainly, if you start to practice, if you start to do yoga, it's something that you realize rather quickly in the practice, that things start to change. There's this sort of grace, this sort of ease that starts to come quickly. It doesn't take a long time. And then the trick is staying committed to the practice. It's one of the hardest aspects. So anyway, that's all. I'm not going to go much longer. This video has been about 9-10 minutes already, and I don't want to bore you guys. But anyway, that's breath. That's how I believe the importance of breath. That's what I believe about the importance of breath, and that it is actually predominantly more important than the physical aspect. Now, granted, they're all important, but I do believe that the breath comes first. So anyway, that's all for now. Really, thank you for watching the video. If you have a moment, I'd appreciate it if you like the video. And also thank you for supporting Cynthia and I in the Breath Factory and the Yoga Sanctuary. And I look forward to seeing you in class, and quite possibly look forward to being in your living room at some point in the future with some great videos that are coming up very, very soon. All right? Have a great day. Bye for now.